Welcome to another episode, Chilling with Aaron Lawrence. I'm here with the Minister of Sports and Education, Honorable Rachel Taylor. Welcome to another podcast with Aaron Lawrence. Madam, welcome.
It's a
Minister.
pleasure.
It's a pleasure having you in this forum. Tell me, I know you're a former teacher. Now, from a teacher into politics, tell me how you get involved in politics.
Mm. Thank you very much for having me, first of all.
Yes.
And yes, I've been an educator for the past 19 years. Now, I always believe that to teach is to touch lives forever.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter which capacity I hold. My aim is to make sure I empower people. Now, how did I transition from principal? Actually, I was teacher and then principal.
Yeah.
And then here am I into politics. I must say that I never saw myself as a politician, but during my tenure at the Enid Capron Primary School, I had the opportunity to have a meaningful impact, not just on the lives of the students,
Yes.
but also persons in the community, because I was a big fan in collaboration.
Yeah.
So therefore, I was approached by the former premier, the Honorable Ewing,
Yeah.
and Rufus Ewing, actually. And he begged me and he begged me. He came to the location where I was working and he said, please, I need your support. And, I thought about it and I said, if I was able to make such a meaningful impact at the institution, I believe I'll be of valuable impact to the community of Five Keys, Electoral District 9.
Mm-hmm.
But I must say this, I did that in 2016 and I was not successful. But I always believe in the little rhymes I used to tell my children. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again.
Try again.
And I did it 4 years later, Minister of Education, Youth Sports. Then I did it another 4 years, which was, in February 7th. And here am I back again
Yes.
as your Minister of Education and Sports.
As a Minister of Sports, were you involved in any sporting activity when you were growing up?
Well, no. Let me say this. When you're young and you're in your house, I was always in the red house. So I was in Wart's house. And you know what happened? I ran. I did the best of what I could do.
Yes.
If I couldn't run the 100 meters, I did the 4x4. I didn't say I came first. But I must say, I was a great cheerleader. So therefore, I was actively involved in cheerleading. And then because I was so good at cheerleading, when I was in high school,
Yeah.
I decided that when I went to Michael Teachers College, the Michael in Jamaica, I was on the cheerleading team again. And each time we placed first.
Great stuff. Now, going into your ministry,
Mm-hmm.
what are some of the benefits that you have for student athletes?
Now, I could talk for hours now.
Talk.
Okay, great. Now, I strongly believe that sports is that avenue to provide the opportunity for greater socialization of our children.
Yes.
It is a safe space for the athletes. And I think it's important for us that when we think about sports, we not talk just about professional sports.
Yeah.
We talk about grassroots sports. So I am adamant that we should provide an opportunity for all students to be engaged in sporting activities. And the reason why quite recently we had the opportunity to partner with the Sports Commission in reviewing our PE curriculum. To take into consideration other components such as soccer, volleyball, as well as the other sporting disciplines within PE. Now, the key thing is that I want my children to be able to say, at least I had an opportunity to thrive.
Yes.
And grassroots is important. Now, I know when I was actually the principal of the Enid Capron Primary School, as well as the manager for the Provo Children's Home, I saw opportunities for our children to engage in an array of sporting activities and not just focus on, for example, soccer or basketball or swimming, but provide an opportunity for them to, at grassroots level, to engage in as many as possible.
Yes.
And then when they reach adolescent now, they can actually decide on which of the sporting activities that they really want to harness. And I think that is quite critical.
Yes.
Now, in terms of sports now, when we look at what kind of support we are able to garner through the Sports Commission, of which I lead. It is important for the NGBs, the non-governmental bodies, to have the relevant support. And a lot of times the support will have to come through technical means, or it could come through workshops, as well as the financial support. So we work very closely with the non-governing bodies around the Turks and Caicos Islands so that we are better able to assist them so that they can develop our athletes even more. But what I was always thinking about how we can engage our partners.
Yes.
So about 2 years ago, we introduced the Long-Term Athlete Development Fund. Now, what that fund does, it provides an opportunity for our private partners to invest in sports financially.
Yeah.
And then what happens now is that we take that monies and we use it for our all high athlete performance students. Now we have three categories. So we have categories one. It is for, in the first year, we had about 11 athletes that we were able to support, and we spent about 21,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's our aim to ensure that we increase the funding. Now, and the second year, we spent about 30, I think it's 33,000.
Yes.
And our aim this year is to spend about $50,000.
Wonderful.
Now, and that is really for our high performance athletes. Now, the money that we will provide for them in terms of a subsistence will provide them with an opportunity to assist them with their diet, because we know the diet is quite important of an athlete, because health is very important, as well as for whatever kind of assistance they may need, because there are sometimes they would need additional coaching. So the money is spent to assist them. And sometimes these athletes are not necessarily in country, but they are studying abroad. So we provide that opportunity to assist those athletes. But I want to plug in now and to encourage the companies around the Turks and Caicos Islands to support the Athlete Development Fund. If you want more information, you could contact Jared at the Sports Commission. But also we have opportunities for our students in other categories, and it's referred to as the AAP cards. That's the Athletes Assistance Program. Right. Now, what is this? This is really for our national athletes. So we have categories, and those categories range from $1,200. And those are for the international athletes who are studying abroad. And then we also have the development category. Well, that's the third category. So we have international, you could get up to $1,200. The regional, those students who are in the Caribbean area, they can get up to $800. And then the development card is $600. They could get that locally. Now that, and another thing too, quite similar to the Long-Term Athlete Development Fund, that also assists our students in terms of their health, in terms of their meal plans. And probably they may need particular footwear or any other gears that need it. But it's just to assist them with their holistic development in sports. And now what we did now, we saw the opportunity to expand the AAP cards. So therefore, we have a team card. So let us say you have soccer and you have about 12 students, right? Now, the good part about it with the team's card is that you can get up to $300 per athlete. So it assists the team in their endeavors, whatever it is that the coach find necessary for the athlete. Now, I think too, sometimes our athletes struggle financially depending on where they're coming from. And that is the reason why I strongly believe in grassroots sports, because even those persons in the most vulnerable communities have an opportunity. Now, there's a difference between opportunity and access to. So we have to make sure that even through our school programs, or should I say outside of our school programs, there are also community opportunities. So it's important for us to build out our safe spaces. Now, when I talk about safe spaces, I'm talking about an opportunity for our children to learn, to grow, and to thrive through sports. Now, the safe spaces is a part of the youth policy. Now, when we built out the youth policy, in terms of its implementation, we saw it so fitting to ensure that the Sports Commission took on that element.
Yes.
So therefore, that's the reason why all our community parks are now under the remit of our director of sports, or should I say the Sports Commission. So we could channel all our funds to ensure the upkeep of what exists, the introduction of new. Now for Grand Turk, we recently, I shouldn't say we recently, a few years ago, we broke ground for the Grand Turk facility. That's a sporting facility.
Yes.
Now, actually, that should be opening the end of April. Another opportunity.
Is there any football
Now,
going to be in that
it's a
facility?
multi-purpose. It's a multi-purpose. So,
Okay.
but what we're also doing now for football now,
Yes.
Grand Turk has a huge parade grounds,
Yeah.
which is good, and it's artificial turf. So that portion is already in place for Grand Turk.
I've been there. I've been there a few times.
And I'm excited that sometimes I'm there for House of Assembly and I see the students really utilizing it, which is good. And we do have a lot of support from FIFA, the Turks and Caicos Islands Football Association.
That's where I'm from.
Yes, I know that. And thank you very much for such a structured program.
Thank you. And we have a lot of players from Grand Turk who's involved in our programs, all the youth programs.
Yes.
And we have players from there, we have players from South and North Caicos also,
Yeah.
So we're developing the sports all over here.
Now, I like that, because I always talk about organized sports, because once you can bring structure to any program, it brings structure to the life of the child. Because when we talk about sports, we talk about a holistic development of a child. It takes into consideration discipline, leadership, okay? It takes into consideration critical thinking. It takes into consideration collaboration, because those are soft skills that our children really need to develop. Development. And what I like about it, when we talk about conflict resolution, a lot of the skills can be developed through sports.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
Now, when I talk about the safe spaces too, we are doing this as a government approach. So we are ensuring that throughout the Turks and Caicos Islands, we are going to build out our sporting facilities. Now, even within my community, 5 Keys.
Yes.
The Felix Morley Community Center has recently seen an injection of $320,000. Now, that project will be completed at the end of April as well.
Yes.
There has been a delay because of the shipment of the specialized material that they had to purchase. And then we are about to finish the Q-Town Park.
Yeah.
Yes. And then South Caicos, actually, we are removing the artificial turf that currently exists. So that, and then we are replacing it with new artificial turf.
Okay.
Just for the safety of our children.
Yes. Before you go any further, I just want to ask you, my minister, you have been an impact to a lot of kids here, because there's a young boy who is in our program, Emmanuel Martin.
Yes.
When I said, I'm going to speak to you, he said, oh, she's my mother, she's my mentor. So I think you have touched a lot of youngsters from, when you're in school as a principal and so forth. And we're grateful for that as a community, that you have touched so many lives. The development funding for the athletes, how does they go about, retrieving these funds? If they go to the coaches or go to the FAs, or they can apply for it? I don't.
Yes. Thank you very much for that question. Now, I must say I'm very proud of the Sports Commission, because they have a very active Facebook and Instagram page where all the relevant information is provided there. But yes, and I always try to encourage the presidents of the various associations to ensure that they make parents as well as students aware of what is available.
Yes.
So therefore, communication is very critical between the associations and the Sports Commission.
Yes.
So of course, they can go through their coaches, the federations, as well as they can also go to the Sports Commission, and then they will direct them accordingly.
Okay.
Now, as a part of that too, we also have opportunities for our athletes to thrive in terms of international scholarships.
Yes.
So our international scholarships deadline is the end of May 2025. So we have dedicated number of scholarships set aside
Oh.
for athletes in various areas as well.
Because we have a lot of players who have gone to college overseas, which they have to find some funding.
Yes.
We get that because they're not going to get a full scholarship,
Right.
so they will
That's
get
right.
an half scholarship and full funding.
Right.
So now I know that you have this program where we can speak to these kids and let them know that
Yes.
you can apply for these programs. And you said they're now the deadline for
right.
it, and so
Yes.
they will have to apply.
Yes, and my scholarship unit, as well as myself, we took the opportunity to speak directly to the associations, I should say the
Yes.
federations, in
Yes.
relation to what is available. And I want to encourage our parents to ensure that the students capitalize of the opportunities. Now, I also want to speak to various opportunities for development in sports, because sometimes we just focus on the athletes.
Yeah.
And when we don't build capacity within the coaches and all the technical persons, if that doesn't happen, then our youth can thrive in their sports. So what we did is we used a three-pronged approach, taking into consideration a symposium that we had about 2 years ago.
Yes.
And then, of course, we had to put together the framework development coming out of the symposium, and then its implementation. And all of it speaks to long-term athlete development.
Yes.
Notice I say long-term.
Long-terms, yes.
Because I think sometimes the people, not just in Turks and Caicos, but everywhere you go, they look for quick fix.
Yes.
They feel as if you start with a child today, they go to Carifta tomorrow, and they want the children to perform at their peak. But I do want to say that it's going to be important for us as a government, as a country, to take sports seriously in terms of the necessary funding,
Yes.
in terms of the necessary facilities. So that is what we are doing in the purpose of building capacity within our coaches, within our technical directors, within the presidents, because once they are aware of what is available and take advantage of it, that is critical.
Yeah, it is important.
Yes.
It's important because we as coaches, we want opportunity for our kids
Yes.
here in Turks and Caicos. And we want to see them strive, and we want to see them go places. We want to see them be professional players. We want to see them go to college and become a doctor, lawyer, whatever.
Yes.
If they don't continue with football.
Yes.
So it is important that you have these programs for these athletes where they can apply for and they can be a part of. Now, you have a second term.
Yes.
In office.
Yeah.
What are the long-term, a 5-year plan for sports in general? What are the development that you have for the next 5 years coming up and stream for athletes?
Yes, thank you very much for that. Now, 5 years may seem like a long time,
Yeah.
but it is indeed a short time. But our aim is, number one, to ensure that we build greater collaboration for the Athlete Development Fund.
Yes.
And that is a quick fix.
Yeah.
The key thing is for us to communicate that more to the public and ensure that they have a buy-in. And I'm quite sure that we'll be able to address that. We're also looking at the opportunity to build out the existing stadium. Right. So we have purchased over 4.2 acres of property already. We have already almost completing the scope of work for the 50-meter pool,
Yes.
the athlete pool.
Wow.
As well as the warm-up area for the athletes in the event that we should host Carifta or another regional or international event.
Yes.
We want to ensure that we build out additional bleachers as well as covers, because in the Turks and Caicos Islands in the Caribbean, when it comes to the sun, if there's no shade, we're not coming out. So we want to ensure that the space is conducive. Yes. So that's it in terms of the facilities there on Providence Islands. And that we want to ensure that we build out areas around the Turks and Caicos.
Yes.
Now, my director of sports is actually scoping out what some of the work will entail. We want mini track fields, especially there's one on the island of North Caicos. So to assist our North Caicos students. And I think because the Turks and Caicos Islands is separated by water, it's a bit more expensive for us because we have to share the resources. It have to be duplicated because persons have to travel by water to get to the other athletes. And you know what surprises me though, that even though Providenciales may have the better equipped space, or we still have children coming from North Grand Turk doing quite well. So it just shows us that once they have a mindset that it doesn't matter what challenges or obstacles they face, they will thrive. But we want to be able to ensure that our students are able to thrive in a more conducive environment in relation to sports. Another thing we want to do with sports is that we want to provide an opportunity for national coaches in the various disciplines. Now, it's quite an expensive venture, but I think if we want podium athletes, we have to put our money where our mouths are. I do remember years ago when we had national coaches in the Turks and Caicos Islands. And we do appreciate the coaches who are involved in multiple disciplines, but we want individualized coaches with special disciplines who can address the concerns of our athletes. So that's some of, and we want to also be able to enhance the performance center. I want Turks and Caicos Islands to know that our athletes, especially our national athletes, they have the opportunity to visit our performance center at the Gustavus Leibniz Sports Complex. So what I realized, I remember going to my first Carifta. Now that's as minister. And I will watch the young men and women, just especially when it comes to the 3,000 meter. And I'm like, endurance at its best. And then when you look at their physique, you could tell that they've been in the gym and they've done massive training.
That's important.
And that is critical.
That is important.
So recently we have been able to introduce a performance center. But our students cannot go to that performing center without their coaches because we don't want them to hurt any parts of their body. There are really strategic ways by which you could train your body for, to develop different parts.
That's true.
So we're doing that. We're going to continue to build that out. And I think if we continue to focus on the athletes and their ability, focusing on grassroots, because after the implementation of the long-term athlete development proposal, I was happy to see so many coaches and other trainers there. We were able to present them on Friday with the long-term athlete development proposal implementation booklet. And it speaks to how they can go about developing the athlete from grassroots right up until they're ready for the professional era of the sport. And I think sometimes we need not just the individual, but we need to, like I said recently, to train them, to equip them so that they can thrive. The children, I should say, the athletes can perform better. So we want them to ensure that they utilize the materials that were given. And another key thing for us is to focus on the mental state of our athletes. Now, I think it's critical because sometimes when we attend any regional or international event, sometimes our children break down.
A lot. We have that a lot too in football because even the other day when we went with the girls on the 17 to there's some of the kids and were breaking down,
right?
And we need that, for them to perform to their best, and that's important.
So and I was so grateful because we hosted a mental symposium, and that just took place last week. What I like about it, and it was actually led by Angelo Garland, our performance coach. What I like about it is that Angelo did not think about the coaches alone. He thought about an opportunity to build capacity in relation to the mental well-being of our athletes as well. So they can look at different techniques that they could use, during tough times. Okay? So that's what we want to focus on, to the mental state. And then for parents to also understand that it is okay when the children don't do well. And we have to say that to the athletes. It is okay when you don't do well. We don't need to put on them any additional pressure. But as a government, we must do all that we can to ensure that from grassroots to professional athletes, it doesn't matter which sport, we provide the opportunity for them to learn, to grow, and thrive at the various stages. And that is where the pathway we are taking sports in the Turks and Caicos.
It is important to start, and here you stress on grassroots.
Yeah.
It is important because they are the future of tomorrow. They are the ones who will come out of the areas that they are, and it becomes better person for Turks and Caicos Island.
Yes.
In whatever individual event they are, whether track and field, football, basketball, softball, swimming.
Yes.
It is important you start from the grassroots, because
Yes.
when some athletes a bit older, something is hard to teach them
Yes.
some
Right.
things. And we start from the grassroots
Right.
here, with our program with the national
Yes, I
team.
noticed that. Even from as early as 4 years old.
Yeah. So we have to start it from there.
Yeah.
The projects that you have, where are those projects going to be at?
Yeah. Very good point. Now, before you go into that, I want to talk about one other important initiative that we want to drive is sports tourism.
Yes.
Now, that on April 5th, we actually have a boxing match between the athletes, the boxing athletes from the Felix Morley Community Center in 5Ks against those from Canada.
Okay.
Taking small steps is critical, and definitely will be an opportunity for us to work very close with the minister and the Ministry of Tourism to ensure that we capitalize on opportunities for our students to be more exposed.
Yeah.
I think if we provide those opportunities in country, it will give them the boost and that drive as they compete against persons who are in the same discipline. And we want to make sure that it is not just within one discipline, because we know soccer does a lot of that,
Yeah.
You do a lot of that with football. We have a lot of sports tourism taking place right there, but I think we take it for granted.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for us to promote the events so we can encourage more persons to come out. So we're going to promote sports tourism as much as possible during this 5 years. Yeah.
Great.
Now, in terms of where we are with the projects, as I mentioned now, for the facility in Granta, that will come to fruition by the end of April. The project in South Caicos, and that is for the Granta Sports Complex.
Yes.
The one in South Caicos, that will come to fruition. Actually, it has completed the ITT process and the tender bits. I think they're reviewing that now. And then I think it's about 6 months project for that area. Now, in terms of the aquatic pool, that is a 50-meter aquatic pool on the island of Providence, the Isles. We are still scoping because we want to ensure that we get it right.
Yes.
Because my team had an opportunity to visit Barbados as well as Cayman, looking at the pools. Yeah. Now, I remember going there as well, and they said, Minister, this looks all good, but make sure you do your research.
Yes.
So you wouldn't make the same mistakes as us. So we are in the process now of finishing that scope of work, right, for that. Now, in terms of our bleachers, the work to be done at the National Stadium, portion of the work will be injected into this budget and then the following budget, because it's a huge project.
Yes.
And then I want to say that I believe that partnership is critical. So there are times where we necessarily don't have to wait on government to get some things done. Once a lot of our work is scoped out too, we could tap into the private sector to assist us in achieving our goals and objectives. Yes. So we do have a timeline.
Good. There's Caribs are coming up. Mm-hmm. Are you going to be a part of it? I know you said you were long distance and you run. Are you going to be a part of it, going down there to watch?
Yes, we'll always support our children, reminding them that once they have done their best, that is all that matters. But of course, we will be supporting the students for Carifta. Yes. Actually, the TC3As, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate them for their continuous efforts. And it's going to be important for us to work even closer with TC3As, because one thing that our children are crying out for, our athletes, is for more competition, local competitions. Yeah. So therefore, that is something that we will be working assiduously with TC3As and the other bodies with, more competitions in the various sporting disciplines. So we definitely will be taking our team. We know we have national champs coming up this week. So I'm quite excited about that.
We come over and watch it.
Yes, definitely. So we always know that from that cohort of students, the best will go to Carifta.
Yes.
Yes, so we are excited about it. And I want to wish our students and our coaches all the best. And we will continue in our endeavors. Now, there are some times when persons say that we wait until the last minute to prepare our children. But I want to say that there's much more to do.